Hello, I am so happy to be a part of the Life Leverage series where I get to share my wisdom with you. It is my absolute love to be able to impart the little pearls of wisdom that I've received along the way in my life. And I spend a lot of my time, advising my clients on different things that they can do to enhance their life, to reach their goals and their dreams. And so it's my hope today that I'll say some small thing that may, point you in the direction that you need to go in, or, maybe you can have an aha moment or a light bulb moment and something to just move you a little bit further along in your dream and in your goal. So my name is Angela Fitch. I am the life lessons expert. And again, I just love sharing the benefit of my wisdom, and Lord knows I have plenty of it. So what I want to talk to you about today is what I call some breaking news that I received. And it really shook me to my core. And I think that probably some of you will be able to utilize this to help you move along. And it relates to elevation. If you've ever been in a place where you feel like, I don't understand why I'm not elevating to the next level. You may feel like, stagnant, not really, stuck. You're working, you're producing, you're aligning yourself, you're putting everything into play, you have your plan, and it just seems like you're in a holding pattern. And it's like, you can almost touch it, but it's just a teeny bit out of reach, and you just can't figure out how to get over that hump. And that's where I was. I was at a point where everybody around me seemed to be elevating, and I still seemed to be like in a particular place. So I was complaining about it. And so here's my story. I was sorting clothes, lights and darks, about to wash some clothes, and I was talking out loud. And that's how I talk to God. I talk out loud. And I was complaining about, my frustration. I'm like, I don't understand why it is that I'm just, not elevating to the next level. People around me who seem to have less on the go than me are moving along, and I'm still stuck, and I can't figure it out. And so just as I reached down to grab those darks and drop them in the washing machine, I heard in my ear these words: as good as you think you are, you aren't. As good as you think you are, you could be better. And I just froze and dropped the clothes. I was taken aback. I was like, well, what do you mean by that? Because I feel like I've done everything that I could possibly do. And, I give my all in everything that I do. And I'm confused. I don't get it. What do you mean? I'm not good enough. He's like, well, I'm not saying you're not doing good. He's like, but I didn't call you to be good. I called you to be great. Okay, so here's your problem. Right now, you are creating habits of mediocrity. I was like, habits of mediocrity? What are you talking about? Mediocrity and Angela are not two words that should be in the same sentence, because there's nothing that I do that's mediocre. You're calling me average. I'm not average. I've never been average. Well, maybe once. My mother instilled in me about overachieving. And so I really, took that personally. And he says, well, that's what you're doing. You are only doing the things that you want to do while not doing some of the other things. And I was like, no, I disagree. He says, okay, let me ask you this question. What about the teachers that ask you to come to speak in front of their classrooms? What about people that ask you to come and speak at events? What about people who invite you to health fairs to speak about wellness? What about those opportunities? You always turn those down. And I said, well, that's true. But the reason why is because I'm not really comfortable being in front of a room of people. I don't like public speaking. I'm nervous. I'm an introvert. So that's not really my thing. But I do spread the message in other ways. And he says to me, so basically, you're not following the instruction. You're not going with the agreement that we have. You asked me for particular gifts. I gave you those gifts. what your responsibility was and what you agreed to was that you would share your gift with anyone who needed it on a large scale whenever you had an opportunity. That was our exchange. Yet, you're only doing what you feel comfortable doing. That's why you're not elevating to the next level. I was like, wow. Had to like really sit back and take that in for a minute. And then I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, wow. I guess he's like, of course I'm right. I'm always right. Yeah, it takes me a minute to catch up, but okay. I'm like, okay. He said, so here's your problem. You enjoy being what I call a neighborhood star. My father would call it a ghetto star. You know, you like the fact that everybody comes to you with their issues and questions and that you're able to help them. And it makes you feel good, as it should. You love it when you go in the store and you don't even have to ask for whatever you normally order. They just bring it right to you. You like the fact that when you leave, they speak highly of you and your family and your son and all that. You love that. And that's great. However, what are you doing going, you know, above, over and above for yourself? You're doing all that for those people, but what else are you doing? You're stuck right there. You're just happy to be regarded by the people that are, you know, in your neighborhood. What about outside of the neighborhood? What are you doing about that? I was like, He said, so I have a question for you. Do you want to be scared or do you want to be successful? So that's my question to you right now. What do you want to do? Do you want to be scared or do you want to be successful? And you have to make the choice right now. And once you make that choice, then you have to take corresponding action to go with that choice. And that's kind of where I found myself. And, you know, I really thought about this. All of our lives, we create a space of comfort. Like when you're young, you're working to have a nice home so that you can live in comfort. And then when you have your nice home, you know, you have your room that is decked out with all of your comforts. And, you know, you don't let anybody in your room you don't want in your room. You watch the TV programs you want to watch on your TV. You only talk to who you want to talk to. You have your favorite beverage. Everything in there is all about you and what makes you feel good and comfortable. And you know what? I call it the comfort cube. It's like you're in your comfort cube. So, but when you're in this comfort cube, you have those four walls surrounding you. And so sometimes you can be, you know, stagnant because that's where you stop. You do whatever you do all day and then you come there to relax and then you never take any further action. And then you just, you know, get to a point of stagnation. And that's really where I found myself. And so once I realized that I really was being stagnant and that I made the decision that I was going to be successful, that I was tired of, you know, not elevating. You know, I turned 50 last year and I realized that I have, you know, more days behind me than I probably have before me. So when was I going to get started? So I decided I really need to get started now. And so I had to attack the thing that was really bothering me, which really, when you break it down, is just fear. So here's something that you can write down, because this really helps me when I'm, you know, dealing with my own issues or just helping people with theirs. There's only two reasons why people do anything in life. One is to gain pleasure, and the other one is to avoid pain. When you identify why you're doing what you're doing, it's usually one of those two reasons. So for me, this would be to avoid pain. Avoid pain of what? Avoid the pain of the fear that I feel when I come before people to speak. And why do I feel this fear? I don't know. It's just talking, but for whatever reason, I just cannot bring myself to do it. So I had to, you know, what I call consult with myself. And really, when I consult with myself, I'm consulting with the counselor in me. And her name is Angela Real. She's my alter ego. She's the person that my clients talk to. But me, Angela, I don't really like to talk to her because she makes me face my reality. But you know, sometimes you have to strip down to the core so you can be more. Okay, so since I want to be more, I have to be, you know, transparent. I have to really go inside of me and look at myself in the mirror and really face what's really going on with me about this fear. So I call on Angela Real and I tell her, you know, I need a consult. Now, one thing about Angela Real, her lifestyle is solutions only, no excuses. That's the motto. So you know, when you go in, you come up with an excuse, she has a solution. And you know, once you have a solution, there's nothing left for you to do but to do it. Or just, you know, stay where you are. So I said, you know, listen, I got to get to the bottom of this fear thing. I have to break through because that's what's stopping me from elevating to the next level. So she says, well, what exactly are you fearful about? Like, what about speaking is fear, you know, makes you fearful? I said, well, you know, I don't like the way I look. I don't think my hair is cute enough. I think my nose is too big. I don't like my smile. I think my voice is boring. I don't think people would find me interesting. I don't really know if I have anything to say. I don't know if I could really share a story. So, you know, those are the things that sort of, you know, bother me. And so she says, okay, well, if you don't like your hair, you can go get it done. If you don't like your nose, you can get it contoured with some makeup and make it look smaller. If you don't like your teeth, you can go get your teeth whitened. If you don't like your smile, then you don't have to smile when you talk. If you don't think you can tell good stories, you can take a class. If you think you're boring, learn how to tell your stories in an interesting, you know, manner. And in terms of speaking, let me ask you this question. She says, has it ever been painful, physically painful for you to talk? And I said, no. You mean like, does it hurt? She was like, yes, does it hurt? I'm like, no. She says, okay. Do you have any reason to believe in the future that it's going to be painful and that it's going to hurt? And I'm like, no. She said, do you market, text, Instagram, Facebook, make YouTube videos, talk to clients on the phone and conduct business on a daily basis? And I'm like, yes. And so she said, and so I'm confused as to what could be the problem with you talking. It's just talking. It's not painful. It doesn't hurt. I was like, you know, you're right. Why is that, you know, a problem? She says, so I've given you solutions. Okay. Fear, you're going to have fear. What you can do with the fear is you have to cooperate with the fear. Okay, because the fear is not going to go away, but it only lasts a couple of seconds. So all you have to do is take a deep breath and persevere through it, and you'll be fine. She says, remember this. The gift that you have inside of you is more important to the world than your fear. And I really hold on to that because that's the only thing that gets me through, because, you know, you are the answer to somebody's prayer. You are somebody's aha moment. You are sometimes the difference between life and death. You are somebody's next level. And wouldn't you feel horrible if you didn't share it just because of fear of talking, speaking, saying words, something you do all day, every day anyway? How could you let that stop you? And I said, you know, wow, that is really true. How could I do that? That would not be fair. What if the answer that you harbor or have inside of you would be something that could save somebody's life? Would that be fair of you to, you know, keep that to yourself? And I said, you know what? No, I'm going to, you know, move forward. I'm not going to be, you know, scared. I'm going to do it. If I get an opportunity, I'm going to take advantage of it, and I'm not going to let it stop me. Well, there I was on Facebook, scrolling through my timeline, not 10 minutes after I made that declaration, and what did I find? The Life Leverage series. I was like, oh, look at that. That looks interesting. Maybe I'll give it a whirl. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, you know, I don't know what I would talk about. And you know what? That'll be good in the future. I don't want to do that right now, but, you know, I'll keep it in mind. Angela Real says, excuse me, didn't you just say that you wanted to be successful? Didn't you just say that you weren't going to be fearful? What are you waiting for? What can you talk about? You can talk about the fact that you were fearful and now you're not. So there's a topic. So what are you going to do? I was like, oh, Angela, I hate you. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I did. I signed up for it and I was excited. I'm like, yes, I am, moving forward. I'm going to elevate. Life is going to be grand. And so I was on top of the ceiling for like 30 minutes. And then the fear set in and I was like, oh no, I can't do it. I feel like I have to throw up. Oh my gosh, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to do it. And, but I made myself not quit. I was like, I'm not going to quit because I'm not. I'm going to persevere. That's just that. So I managed to do it. Then of course I had to, craft my message and, all of that. But I think that, half the battle was getting me to the point of recognizing my fear, acknowledging my fear, but making a decision to not let it hold me down, to hold me back. And it's kind of like, I like to call it, you have to have a pit bull on a pork chop mentality, meaning that you're going to grab onto that goal and you're just going to clamp down on it and you're just going to not let it go until you reach your goal. You're going to visualize your goal, at the end, and anything that's in your way, you're just going to keep your head down and move forward. And one thing about a pit bull, they are not going to let go until they're ready. And until you're ready is not going to be till you hit the finish line. And that's what I decided that I was going to do. I was just going to keep my head down. I was going to stay focused. I was going to stay on task. I wasn't going to let the fear that still pops in my ear stop me. And I was just going to make it down to the finish line. And, I call that, the ring of fire. And, when you get to the ring of fire, you can't stand there and say, wow, it's really hot. Because if you stand there at the ring of fire, the heat coming off that fire can burn you up. So when you get to the ring of fire, the only thing you can do is and suddenly go through. And once you and suddenly go through and you're on the other side, you're safe. So as I was moving towards, this talk and sharing my journey with you, I had to, when I got to the point of this very moment, I had to and suddenly, make this, step. And so I did. And now I'm on the other side and here I am and I feel good. And it's just like, I finally completed it. Who knew I could do it? I don't know. Did I know? Maybe I did, but God knew. And I'm here and I'm on the other side. And now when I look back at the ring of fire, guess what? It really wasn't a ring of fire. It was just a hologram made to look like a ring of fire. Everything that I thought was a problem was just that. It was my thought. I created the heat in my mind. I created the negativity in my mind. None of you ever said that you thought I was ugly, that you didn't like my smile, that I was boring, or, that you didn't like my teeth or my hair. That was just all stuff that I thought. But here's the thing, Angela Earl said to me. She was like, what if all those things that you think people said, what if they did say them? So what? What does it matter? Does that change the message that you have inside of you? Does that stop you from sharing your information for that one person who it might make a difference for? And I was like, well, no, actually it doesn't. Actually, it's worth it. Actually, I'm glad that I could share this little piece of information, which is really nothing but facing yourself. Going inside of yourself and being real with yourself. If you're not, you just can't fix what you don't face. Like, you have to live in your reality. And knowing is half the battle. However, knowing by itself isn't going to do anything. If you really, really want to make a change in your life, you have to have a corresponding action to go with your desire. I like to say it like this. There's two methods of change that don't work, and that's hoping and praying. They'll help you get some ideas, okay? They'll make you feel good, but they won't make you change. You need hope, prayer, a plan, and some action. Those items mixed together equal change. And one of my favorite quotes from Creflo Dollar is, change isn't change until you change. So the only way to change is to actually do it, to actually do something, to actually get started. And if you don't know what to do, you can always start with Googling something. If you have an area of interest, it could be anything. It could be photography. It could be gardening. It could be baking. Whatever your area of interest is, all you have to do is Google something. And that something will lead you to something else. And then it's just like once you put that out and you take a step, all things related to that will start to come to you. And next thing you know, you're on a path. And your mind will be open and expanded. And then you'll see yourself actually doing the very thing that you didn't think you could do. It's amazing how that works. But the way God works is He's not going to add more to you until you take a step forward. So you can sit there meditating all day, strategizing all day. However, until you actually make a step, you're never going to get there. So I hope that I was able to impart something in you, ignite something in you, challenge your thinking in some way to propel you to make the change that's necessary in your life. And if you would like to stay connected to me and you want to hang out with me and network with me, that would be awesome. I would love to talk to you further and extend our conversation. You could just text the word network to 97000 and we can stay in touch. I even have a free little gift for you that I would like to share just based on our chat today. And I thank you so very much for taking time to listen to the likes of me. And I just, wish you all happiness, peace, and blessings. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy life to listen to my heart.